Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Radical Edge of HR, the Recruitment Alliance edition. And we are once again excited to be here with you with my team of beautiful ladies from the Recruitment Alliance. Let's go ahead and introduce each one. We have a new person today, actually. So, this is the wonderful team of TRA. So, Artie, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself first and tell us how long you've been with HRKS, please.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm Artie Harrison, and I serve as the Senior Director with HRKS as well as TRA, and I have been with the organization for 4 years.
Thank you, Artie. And Miss Linda.
Hello, I'm Linda Trocina, the lead senior recruiter, and I have been with HRKS and TRA for a year and a half.
Thank you, Linda. Welcome back to both of you. And Miss Shanika, welcome. Welcome. We're so glad to have you join us today. Please officially introduce yourself.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here and to be a part of the TRA team. I am Shanika Freeman, and I've been with the team just under a month now. So I'm looking forward to working with everyone and getting this thing started.
Wonderful. We are delighted to have you with us. Welcome to TRA, welcome to HRKS, and welcome to the Radical Edge of HR.
Woohoo!
TRA edition, that is. So we got that out. And of course, my name is Tanya Hawley. I am your host this afternoon and so happy to be here. I am a marketing consultant with HRKS, and it is my privilege to host this event for you all. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And today's topic is the benefits of a virtual recruiting program. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And Miss Artie, we're going to start with you.
Okay.
Can you go ahead and just tell everyone what the benefits of a virtual recruiting program are?
Well, thank you, Tanya. We've actually identified 8 that we feel are really great benefits to a virtual recruiting program. You know, COVID-19 over this period of time, it's really changed how many of us interact in person, whether socially or whether it's professionally. And, you know, traditionally, our interviews usually would involve an in-person type of an interview. And those are really designed to try to facilitate some type of a personal connection between the interviewer and the interviewee. And now that so many companies are working remotely, you know, meeting in person is most likely for some companies off limits. In some type of way, it's limited for others. When you build a virtual recruiting program, what it does is it allows businesses to continue growing and to be able to meet their hiring needs and their demands in a broader way. And that's the first benefit we see, is that it really helps the continuation of hiring. Then the second benefit of a virtual recruiting is really that the events are really more cost effective. You know, when people have to attend recruiting events or even job fairs in person, it's really expensive. You know, you start to tally up for example, the people, the supplies, you know, people having to travel, the cost per hire, it goes considerably higher because physical events, they're really uh, engaging people having to transport themselves and get someplace. You already got an expense there. But the virtual recruiting event, well, it's easier, first of all, for particularly recruiters and for the employees, because you can balance your day, you know, your day-to-day activities, and you can still really contribute to a recruiting program because you can hop on to a virtual event and still be able to do your work actually. And just virtual recruiting events, it really expands an employer's reach so that they can get more qualified candidates. A third benefit that we have found is that honestly, it's less stress for the candidate. You know, a lot of times when candidates, they have this fear, like something's terrible going to go wrong when they're interviewing for a new job, whether they get stuck in traffic or maybe they're trying to find a parking spot, you know, or overall something outside of their control may go wrong. And I have really found that candidates have been more at ease when they are interviewing with TRA virtually. And that's really a huge thing because we have more time to really just focus on the interview and really focus on the details. You know, seeing candidates interview from the comforts of their own home environment, it's really a pleasant type of a showcase because they're more relaxed, and there's value that we find in this virtual recruiting process. You know, having virtually interviewed dozens of people in the past, I can consistently see that these candidates, they're more confident and they're more comfortable being in their own workspace opposed to maybe coming into an office. Um, Oddly enough, Tanya, we see a fourth benefit as really being candidates are really on a level playing field. There's lots of pros, of course, to interviewing in person. So don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also a lot of cons too. One of the probably the biggest cons is that meeting people in person, what it does is it enables uh, what we refer to as hiring biases to creep in at a higher rate. We're all human, and unconscious or not, we tend to judge people based on how they dress or even how they look professionally. And so that can sometimes be a bias that creeps in when you're interviewing in person. And when we interview virtually, we are less distracted by some of those irrelevant details of a person's appearance. And we really focus more on the candidates and what they have to say. Because now we've gotten used to things in the background or,
Right.
that's distraction. So we've kind of gotten used to that. Then I would say a fifth benefit for TRA is that the company is really able to extend their reaches even further. In-person recruiting events and maybe even career fairs, they can definitely be a challenge because some people can attend and some people can't attend. Sometimes it may be a lack of transportation. Maybe they're trying to find, let's say, childcare, or the time that they spent traveling really reduces like the time to get there. So when you're hosting a virtual recruitment event, what it does is it opens up the door for anyone, anywhere to attend, no matter where they're located.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really another way that a virtual recruiting event, it really expands an employer's reach for qualified candidates. So you're not just looking in that city, you're looking abroad. I would say scheduling is probably more seamless, and that would be a sixth benefit that we found. There's no more like fighting to try to find a conference room space to interview someone,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe sometimes what happens, it gets very uncomfortable when two candidates may be coming for an interview and they interact with each other in the waiting room, waiting.
Yes.
So it kind of eliminates that
I've been
awkwardness.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bumping into each other while they're
Yeah.
like, "Are you here for the same job as me?"
A competition. Yeah.
Exactly. So now that the interviews can simply just toggle between, video chat links or look at your calendar to just schedule these, it's more private and there's more comfort for people being in the home. And it's really interesting for us to see people literally interviewing from their home. They're so relaxed. It truly makes a difference. It's easier for the interviewer, in our case, which is us, to review resumes and to take notes. And that's going to be probably a seventh benefit for us, because when TRA team is interviewing someone virtually, we're very transparent, and we say to them that we're pulling up their resume, on the screen so that they're aware of it. And then we let them know we're going to be taking notes. And by making this type of an announcement, what we do is we're putting the candidate at ease, right? Because they know that we're paying attention to the interview. And if we have to drift our eyes to the left or to the right, instead of them thinking that we're disengaged, they know what we're doing. And so we have been able to be more thorough and comprehensive when we're interviewing via the video chat. And then, of course, and finally, the last one, TRA above all, we just find it to be safer.
Oh, yes.
Companies doing their part to really try to flatten, Tanya, this whole curve during COVID-19 pandemic. It's really proven that people are willing to be creative and to really just adapt to these changing times. For example, many of the large tech companies, they've announced that their employees will be working remotely indefinitely, because employees are providing that they're providing and they're proving that they can be more productive and not really dipping into the workforce time frame of not being ineffective, but they're actually able to be more effective.
Right.
And so recruiting post COVID-19, this has actually forever changed the recruiting process. And in my opinion, for the better, because companies will be able to utilize more technology for sourcing. They can use it for screening, doing different assessments, onboarding. All this can be done, and it can be done seamlessly through an automated process. So this enables companies to really hire candidates faster and at higher quality. And these are definitely the 8 benefits of virtual recruiting.
Thank you for those are quite interesting. The one you said that caught my attention was puts all candidates on an equal playing field. I would have not thought of that one.
Yeah.
How we create our biased opinions by sometimes what they have on and how they look, how they walk, or maybe even get distracted. So I would have not have thought of that because we do that, but you don't realize you do it. I think
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but that does happen. It creeps in.
Yes. And what if you like one person's outfit better than the other, or
Right. Exactly.
yeah, or something like
Yeah.
that? You might not even realize. Well, I like her. She had my favorite color on. That doesn't happen though, does it?
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Before we go to the next question, we have our other team member here. Let's go ahead and add her, Miss Tanya Young. Hello, Tanya. Glad you could join
Hello.
us. All right. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself and say how long you've been with HRKS and TRA?
Sure. Well, hello, everybody. I have had the absolute pleasure of being a part of the HRKS team for going into my second year now. But I'm kind of like, I took a hiatus and it was just such a phenomenal place. I had to come back.
That is wonderful. You leave and come
Yes.
back because you loved us so much. I love that.
Yes.
So thank you, Tanya. Welcome. I know we were having some technical difficulties. So happy you were able to join us. We got it all
Yes.
worked out. So let's go on to the second question, ladies. And Linda, it's for you. Can you give us a few more added benefits of conducting virtual interviews, please?
Thanks, Tanya. I can. So the first identified benefit is really cost savings. Interviewing costs can include anything from taking the candidate to lunch, flying the candidate in. It can also be a cost to the person interviewing if the company does not, provide that support. And so there are savings to both the client and the candidate when a virtual interview is conducted rather than have them fly into town. A second benefit would be the flexibility of scheduling, um, to be respectful to candidates' time when coming to an on site interview, especially if maybe they're a student or they're currently working another position. It's a great practice to schedule a virtual panel type interview, and that's respectful to both the interviewee and the interviewer's time. A third benefit that we found from a recruiting perspective, particularly, is time to fill. That is a very important metric for recruiters. And our goal is to decrease the time to fill. Most recruiters would tell you that when you're scheduling on site interviews, they can be pushed out and delayed when the interviewers are too busy to squeeze in the candidate, and so that factor is actually eliminated when you utilize virtual interviewing as well.
Okay.
Our fourth that we've identified is it's modern. Since COVID and in the past, typically interviews have traditionally been in person. And we are now shifting to the virtual world. And modern technology has really equipped companies with the tools to conduct interviews um, virtually,
Mhm.
which is a plus. Um, and technology continues to improve over time. Fifth, that we've identified is it really brings consistency to the process of interviewing. After an interview, if it's a virtual platform, the all the individuals who are involved in the panel interview, when the candidate drops off, they can stay online and they may be in different cities, but they can all collaborate and share notes and discuss the candidate directly after the interview, which is very helpful rather than trying to reconvene if
Right.
they're in different cities and different places.
That's good.
Um, Number six would be that it's convenient. Virtual interviewing eliminates a lot of the administrative burden, such as do we have a conference room that's available that day? How are we going to get this person from this city here to interview? And
Mhm.
so by utilizing virtual interviewing, it really does make it more convenient for both the interviewer and the interviewee. Um, Seventh, it does expand it expands the candidate pool. With virtual interviewing, candidates can actually vet a company from their home. They can secure a job offer and even sign on without having to spend a dime for travel costs or anything they might incur during that interview process. And then number 8, our last identified benefit would be that it's highly inclusive. Just as an example, you may have a candidate for whatever reason can't travel. Maybe it's a personal issue, and the job may not require travel. And so it makes it more inclusive. Anybody who is interested in the position can be interviewed virtually without having to travel to that location. And so, with that said, virtual interviewing is really, I want to say, the wave of the future, but it is here. It exists very much
No,
so, and
yeah.
it is very convenient and time saving.
Great. Thank you for that. Very interesting. I didn't hear a benefit that I thought of, ladies. I'm just going to say a benefit that I thought of is that for everyone involved, you only have to be dressed from the waist up. Right? I didn't see that on anybody's list. I just thought I'd add my.
We don't want to say that in case somebody has to stand up and walk away, you know.
Yes, we don't want that to happen like that. I don't know why commercials always come up, but there is that one commercial when the guy thought that the meeting was virtual and he's walking around in his underwear and everybody's there. So we don't want that. But that's an important benefit. I just had to throw that in. So that's, you might want to add that to your list. But thank you both, Linda and Artie, for all of those. Let's move on to our next question. Is for Miss Tanya Young. And can you please share how does online recruiting provide a company with a competitive edge?
All righty. So competitive is the key here. Everybody definitely wants to be in that competitive space. And you want to be there on that higher level of the competitive spectrum versus the lower end. And with online recruiting, so that helps companies to maintain a competitive edge. So it provides the cream of the crop when it comes to the candidates that are available out there. It saves time. More importantly, it saves those financial resources. And we all know everybody wants to save when it comes to finances. It's effective. So effective recruiting supports companies to achieve faster growth levels. Everybody wants to grow in that, grow definitely towards being bigger, better. It streamlines recruitment processes. When you're talking about streamlining, any process that can be streamlined, everybody's in. You definitely will have a buy-in there. And it delivers a high quality of more engaged hires. I don't know anybody that's going to say no to that. But when you have when you have a more competitive advantage, that directly impacts your business in a more positive direction. And research actually shows that companies with a high level of engagement, they have higher revenue levels. Is that not phenomenal?
Yes, and the bottom line. Yes. Yes. Thank you for that information, Tanya. Let's keep moving to our next question. Miss Shanika, this one's for you. How is automation and AI or artificial intelligence used to save time and money in screening applicants? Now, before you answer that question, I think it might be good if you define or to let everyone know what exactly artificial intelligence or AI means, because everyone may not be familiar with that term.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, what we've been talking about is AI. We've been talking about virtual recruitment. We've been talking about recruiting in a virtual environment. That is AI. That is incorporating technology in the recruiting process. Just to sum it all up, it's incorporating technology. So, if we're talking about virtual, the application process. We're talking about interviewing. We're talking about going through and making everything in a virtual environment. We're talking about AI. There's one part of AI during this conversation that we're speaking of. So, to answer the question, it may come with the cost. Incorporating technology in the recruitment process may come with a cost, but it's worth it.
Mm.
The average cost to hire is around $4,000. So we can pay that on the front end and save it on the back end.
Okay.
So utilizing AI in the screening process saves companies thousands of dollars, and it ensures that companies are putting the right individual in an open position the first time around. So we're not continuing to recycle employees or recycle new candidates. We're bringing in that top-notch candidate the first time around by incorporating this technology in that process. Using automation and AI in the recruitment process helps to better identify qualified candidates quicker and more efficiently, reducing the screening time spent in the recruiting process. So again, we're gonna find the best fit candidate the first time around because we've incorporated new technology in that recruitment process. Um, it can act as a personal assistant to the recruiter. So we're talking about creating screenings. We're talking about creating calendars, and we can send over a calendar to our candidates and have them let us know what times work best for them. Here again, we're incorporating this technology or enhanced technology in the recruiting process. And one thing I want to note about AI is that it can be customized. This is where that cost comes in at the front end. It can be customized to what you, the recruiter, want or what we want as recruiters for that recruitment process, including chatbots. It includes, and this is a part of that new technology, chatbots and messaging to where we can access the recruitment process from our phones and we can communicate versus carrying around a laptop all day or some things like that. That application can be completed via the cell phone and it can be, we can communicate that way.
Okay.
So we would say overall bottom line, incorporating AI in the recruitment process, it offers hiring managers a better, more qualified candidate pool to select from when adding new talent into the workforce or into their business.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I'm sold. You all are selling me, but this is great information because people just may not realize of why it's important to do why it's the benefits of it, how it benefits them in the long run, especially even though it's an initial investment. As Cherie is with us and has says, as Shanika, hire right the first time. So
Absolutely.
yes, bottom line. The next question is for you, Tanya. We're coming back to you.
Okay.
How is virtual recruiting particularly beneficial for small businesses?
So, small businesses. So, we know that this pandemic we've heard this word used so many times, pivot. So, it has caused a lot of people to pivot. And pivoting has produced a lot of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, we know when they start off, finances are exceptionally tight. So when you have a virtual platform that you can utilize, you can save so much money. It can help you with your recruiting process, like a single virtual event can serve the needs of your entire organization. Sometimes it can even help you globally. It depends on what your business is, what you're doing. It can help you from that perspective as well. And it's kind of like gone are the days when we have go into a job fair. We already alluded to these things already. Transportation could be an issue. Childcare could be an issue. Um, Having to lug all these things from the car, setting up the booth, and all that stuff at a job fair. Gone are those days. Actually, that doesn't really happen anymore, and people are just more technically inclined to use something that's convenient. And this is definitely a benefit that many people consider when it comes to virtual recruiting.
Yes, convenience is a big word these days.
Yes.
We've gotten comfortable being
Hmm.
convenient. Everything's convenient, at home.
Hmm.
Everything has become more convenient at home. So that says a lot in itself.
Yeah.
Thank.
And Tanya, just to add a point,
Mhm.
not to give the impression that the in-person job fairs are completely non-existent, because there is a population that are not technically savvy, that may not use computers. And so there are lots of
Yes.
job opportunities that may not require that. And so that they are still available. But what we are truly saying is that has become a strong alternative for many companies to expand and grow by using this technology, still utilizing job fairs for that format as well. So just wanted to bring that point out too.
Yes, thank you. Everything, I guess, has its place
Yes.
um,
Mhm.
in time, I guess. So let's move on. We have actually one more question before our time is up. And Shanika, this one's for you. The administrative burden of sourcing and screening candidates with the right skills for a growing company can be overwhelming, even if a company already has a full blown HR department. So, how does virtual recruitment help in that perspective?
Absolutely. So again, using virtual recruitment, it allows another contracted party to find, fill, and narrow down the possibilities of the company. There are no ads to place. There are fewer
Mm,
applications to sift through, and only the cream of the crop must be interviewed. So I say, bottom line, it uses the time and money to save the company, and saves on the company and focus on growing the business.
okay, great. Thank you so much. So, actually, that is all the questions that I have for you. Is there anything you want to say in closing? I know there's one more thing we're going to share at the very end, and I'll get to Linda. But is there anything else you just want to close or add before we officially end our interview today?
Yeah, I would just add the fact that virtual recruitment, there's been components of it for a period of time, but it truly has become the go-to now. And if nothing else came out of that pandemic, it truly showed how we can broader reach and farther reach. One thing to add is the idea that a lot of companies who felt as though their population had to reside in that particular city or area have recognized that not only can their jobs be done remotely, but they can use talents from a whole nother state and not miss a beat. So it has really expanded the reach in terms of what we define now as a qualified candidate that doesn't have to physically be in your city. So we're just grateful to have embraced it the way that we have and have seen the benefits, and we'll continue down that path.
Wonderful. So, in light of virtual recruiting and our topic today, we want to share some of the openings that you all are recruiting for, correct? So, Linda, are you ready for that? I'm going to go ahead and bring it to screen and you can just read them right quick. There we go.
Okay, so currently we are recruiting for a development and marketing specialist that's in the Kennesaw Marietta area. We have an opportunity open for a fueler, a truck driver for a trucking company in the Marietta area. We have in California a diversity and inclusion consultant. That position runs from, I believe, February through November. And we do have two opportunities open with an Atlanta training company, a VP of shared services and a marketing manager. And I should also mention that HRKS and TRA, we are always searching for excellent HR consultants as well as recruiters. And we're looking for recruiters that have recruited any type of for any type of positions.
Great. And you all heard right here, Tanya loved us so much. She came back, she left and came back. So, you know, HRKS and TRA is a great place to work for. So, just keep that
Right.
in mind, everybody.
And
So,
also,
we,
Tanya, I'm sorry, I should mention, I did not say if you are interested in any of these positions, you can find those positions posted and you can apply at www.hrksrecruits.com.
thank you, Linda. And that's actually the great way to close. We end with that. If you have any questions, if you need to contact us, please go to the website, as Linda just mentioned. Is there anything else before I officially close us today that anyone else would like to share? Any comments? Are we good? All right. Well, I thank you all for this wonderful wealth of information you have shared with everyone. Thank everyone who's watching now. We'll watch later. We'll see you next time. Remember, we are here once a month giving you tidbits on from TRA edition of recruiting, and you never know what we might talk about. So make sure you tune in, but we're here to help you. So again, any questions or comments, feel free to go to the website, send us an email. That's available on the website as well. and we will see you next week. Thank you, everybody. Follow us on all social media outlets. Bye bye.
Thank you, Tanya.
Bye.